I am Lynn Bacani. This is Maritime Viewpoints on Marino World Online. As we continue to face the unprecedented challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, we also meet new leaders. Joining us on the program is one of the most active women leaders of today, Ms. CRISTINA GARCIA, the president of the Association of Licensed Manning Agencies, or ALMA Maritime Group. Ms. CRISTINA, welcome to the program.
Hello, Lian. Thank you for having me.
Now, first of all, please give us an update on ALMA Maritime Group. Ilan na ba ang members ng ALMA?
Thank you, Lynn. Actually, from the time that ALMA started last year, that was in April, we are now, I think we have more than 60 members now. And a lot of other manning agencies are signifying their intention to join our group this past few weeks, because I think they've been seeing how active ALMA is and how involved. So I think they're very much encouraged to become a member.
And how many seafarers are you deploying pagdating dun sa pag-usapan natin yung grupo mismo?
We control about 150,000 seafarers. If you will notice, even if we're only around 60 members, we control 150,000 because we have big companies, big manning agencies who are members. So that gives us the number.
Ms. Tina, Metro Manila will return to lockdown mode from August 6 to 20. So how are you preparing for this? You are one that could see and experience the most what is happening on the ground.
To us, you know, for manning agencies deploying seafarers, ECQ doesn't really matter to us because it's like business as usual, except that we're only allowed 50% of the workforce in the office, but the deployment of seafarers must continue. So whether we are at home or we are in the office, we should continue doing so, or else there will be hampering of seafarers movement once again. During the past week when we met with the OSS team, we were told that there might be very slim or very small impact towards our industry, because by virtue of declaring that the seafarers are essential workers, then their movement should not be hampered. Okay. We were advised by POEA that they will have limited workforce in the POEA office. So most of their staff also will be working at home. And that's where I see that we might be limited when it comes to processing of contracts, or I believe there won't be any processing for accreditation of new principals. So medyo yun ang magiging struggle nung mga manning agencies if that happens.
And actually, balik na naman tayo, no? We were there nung nagkaroon tayo last year in November. We were talking of the crew change crisis, and then yung mga issues sa manning during the Marino World webinar. So how is it different from now? Baka kahit papaano meron na ring mga adjustments tayo, mas meron pa bang pagbabago ngayon?
Yes, I'd like to start off during the past 1.5 years. Remember, the first lockdown was declared in March of 2020. And during that time, it was really difficult for us because it was new to us. we haven't experienced being locked down inside our homes and not being able to go to the office and process the seafarers to go on board. So few months after, there were some changes. We were um, communicating mostly with Marina at that time. Uh, in April, around April, when Administrator Bob Empedrad joined Marina, we were lucky to be one of the few people that he reached out to, because he was new in the industry. He needed guidance, he needed consultants. So we gave him some advices. So whatever we have now, the Green Lane Protocol was actually conceptualized during that time. So that was around April. That was when the OTR was crafting the Green Lane Protocol, the crew change protocol at that time. It was called the crew change protocol at that time. And then eventually, it spilled off to becoming the Green Lane Protocol by IATF. And there were actually 6 or 7 government agencies who are co-signatory of the Green Lane Protocol to make sure that the seafarers movement is unhampered. So from then on, there were a lot of protocols being implemented. It was so dynamic. The protocols last year was really ever changing. It was so difficult for us to follow. So if you don't read one day, then you'll be left behind. So that's how difficult the protocols were at that time, and difficult, and because it was so dynamic. So in November, I think the biggest problem at that time was it was still the limited movement of the seafarers. Even if we have the Green Lane Protocol at that time, it wasn't really implemented. Diba? Parang by virtue of the Green Lane Protocol, dapat wala tayong problema in sending our seafarers and then for them to come home. But then some mining companies thought na it was just in paper, and simply because especially yung yung mga limitations natin before sa flight. So in a way kasi it affects the movement of the seafarers, because we know very well that the demographics of our Filipino seafarers are really from north to south, from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So pag meron kang limitation dyan sa sa domestic flights mo, everything will be affected kasi we won't be able to bring our seafarers in Manila for us to process them. And I remember also last year, one of the biggest problem was the quarantine. This was, I think, the very first move of ALMA at that time, when the government was only subsidizing the quarantine facilities of the land-based. Even if we are also classified as OFWs, diba? Parang we found it so unfair that only the land-based sector are free from paying the quarantine facilities, whereas for the sea-based, it's the manning agency or the principals who are shouldering. And then at that time, because we still have the difficulty then of releasing the RT-PCR result, because remember, before yung problem natin is a swab today, but the results will come out 21 days after or 30 days later, di ba yung mga ganun katagal. And imagine, if the seafarers will stay in quarantine facility for that long, then it means it's so costly for the manning agency or the principals to pay. So, yan yung mga struggles natin. So, now we move forward, fast forward tayo to present time. I would say na we have been successful in asking the government to subsidize the seafarers also for them to shoulder the payment for the quarantine facilities. So OWA has been very generous. The government has been very generous, in fact, in subsidizing now for both sectors, land-based and sea-based. So we thank OWA for considering that kahit na medyo hindi kami nagkaroon ng magandang take-off, we were not in the same footing with OWA before eh. Kasi nga dun sa aspect na yon na parang syempre sea-based kami, 'di ba? Yung sea-based did not actually stop deploying yung seafarers abroad. So parang we felt tapos ang land-based, 'di ba, for a time they also stopped kasi hindi rin tumatanggap yung ibang countries ng mga land-based na workers. So talagang to us, yung sea-based talaga yung nag-contribute on to our government kung bakit tayo nag-stay afloat up to this time. Because we continued, we never stopped contributing dollars. Kasi nga tuloy-tuloy tayo eh. Tuloy-tuloy tayo nagsusupply. So, so going back, okay na yun dun sa quarantine facility issue natin with OWA as of now. So we just rely on government funding kasi galing naman yan sa bayanihan, di ba? So now, natapos yung Bayanihan 1, 2, and now we're in Bayanihan 3. So we just hope na yung funding ng OWA for that purpose will still continue up to a certain time, no? Until it gets depleted. And then pag naubos na, sana makahingi pa rin ulit ang OWA ng funding para tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung pagsasubsidize nila doon.
So from your experience sa mining agencies, are you experiencing now yung problems sa mga hotels, quarantine facilities because of the depleted funding na from OWA?
Yes, we do. Ang nagiging problema kasi natin as of now is yung ibang quarantine facilities. We've experienced kasi na they would opt not to book pag OWA ang magbabayad. Kasi allegedly, and I think naman accepted din ng OWA to, that it's a fact na meron pa rin naman sila talagang mga unpaid bills sa quarantine facilities. It's not OWA's fault kasi when we met with admin hands, one of the OSS meetings yan. Hindi yan meeting talaga specifically to tackle the quarantine facilities. During one of the meetings lang. And also, one of the OSS members na taga-OWA, meron naman talagang problema talaga. It's because yung ibang bills, chine-check nila, hindi nagre-reconcile yung bills. So iba yung record ng hotel, iba rin yung record ng OWA. So that's one problem. Second problem, hindi pa naman nabibigay sa kanila ng government yung full na allocation sa kanila. So we in ALMA, we have written a letter to Senator Bongo asking for the release of the OWA funds for that purpose para hindi na maapektuhan yung mga yung mga bookings namin. Kasi the process now is that the manning agencies are the ones looking for quarantine facilities and book them for our seafarers. And then OWA will acknowledge para babayaran nila yung yung mga quarantine facility. So that's the process now. So syempre kung wala namang funding si OWA from the government, how will they pay? 'Di ba? So ano yan, hindi naman pwedeng manggagaling sa OWA ang pambayad. It will come from the government. Kaya yun yung hinihiling namin sa gobyerno na i-release na yung funds na yan para mabayaran na ni OWA yung mga outstanding payments niya. So those are the only two factors that I know of kung bakit meron tayong problema sa sorry, it's actually 3. Isa pa natin problema pala kung bakit limited yung quarantine facilities natin is that before kasi pagdating ng mga seafarers, they are immediately swabbed. 'Di ba? Swab upon arrival sila eh. So nare-release yung yung results after 2 or 3 days. So pagka-release ng results, pwede nang lumabas yung mga seafarers. That was the protocol before March. And then come March 2021, nagbago ng protocol because parang merong bagong variant. So nagbago na ng na kailangan 5th day na yung swab, tapos mare-release yung yung result mga 24 to 48 hours later. So makakalabas yung crew 7 to 8 days siya sa quarantine. So imagine that yung period of stay ng mga seafarers or lahat, it's not only seafarers, ROFs and OFWs. That's additional 4 days in quarantine. So if we are looking at the same number of quarantine rooms, pero nagbago tayo ng duration, then that means nag-increase yung natin, yung requirement natin. So yun yung problema natin. Kaya ang nakikita naming solution dyan sa problema na yan is for yun na nga yun na site ko kanina, for the government to release the funds to OWA para makabayad na sila and hindi na malimit yung bookings namin. And then pangalawa, we really have to accredit more quarantine facilities. Kasi ang issue natin with the hotels now is that they are applying for multi-purpose use. Meaning, di ba, before ECQ, pwede yung mga staycations. And we fully understand why the hotels would want that. Kasi etong mga nag-staycation, they would pay up front. Diba? Whereas kung etong mga ikina-quarantine ng gobyerno, they will get their payments 2 or 3 months later. Or worse, minsan almost 1 year. Almost 1 year na tsaka sila nababayaran. So yun yung struggle natin with the quarantine facilities.
But could you say na mas manageable ngayon yung situation during this return of ECQ compared yung unang-una?
Manageable. I think yung situation natin now is just manageable because parang nasasanay na tayo. Hindi yung ano hindi yung dahil nag-ease up yung protocol or whatever. In fact, mas humirap siya ngayon Kasi nga, apart from those limitations that I previously mentioned, ang pinaka ano namin dyan, isa rin sa problema namin is yung pag nagbaba ang gobyerno ng directive na meron tayong mga restricted countries. And then we know for a fact na pag yung country na categorized as restricted, ibig sabihin, nung una nga, hindi sila talaga pwedeng umuwi. Buti nga ngayon meron ng mga initiatives na na basta part ng repatriation program, whether it's government, non-government, or special commercial repat flights, pinapayagan naman. Pero ang ang medyo na yun, costly siya because when you avail special commercial repat flights or non-government repat flights, you have to charter planes. Yung government repat flights kasi most of them are availed by land-based. Kaya hindi namin masyado hindi namin masyadong napapansin yung government repat flights kasi nga ang focus talaga ng government is to bring home yung mga land-based na distressed at saka stranded. So when we charter flights, yun na nga sabi ko, napaka-costly. Imaginein mo, kahit na may 100 na seats, may 100 seafarers ka lang na pauuwiin, you have to pay for the whole plane. Let's say mga ilang seater yan, 300, 350 seaters or could be 400 at the most. So, ang laki ng babayaran yan bukod pa sa mga permits. So, medyo siya talaga. Challenging siya.
So what do you suggest?
Napakagandang tanong niyan. It's not only my suggestion, it's the suggestion of the trustees of ALMA because we've been really deliberating about this. Kasi ang namin, ang basis kasi namin of asking for this is yung effect sa industry natin. And that is the limitation in the passenger capacity. Kasi pag meron tayong limitation sa passenger capacity intake natin dito sa NAIA airports, ang ibig sabihin niyan, okay, I'll take the current number as an example. As of now, it's 2,000. That's our passenger limit per day. And then ang dami-daming flights coming in. There are some flights where the approved seating capacity or passenger capacity is only 50. So, pag meron ka lang 15 pasahero sa eroplano, then ang ang mangyayari, the airfare will be very, very expensive. So if a seafarer, or let's say, nagpa-uwi ako ng 10, ang magiging airfare niyan would range from $2,000 to up to $4,500. And then you multiply that by 10. That's $45,000 just for one flight for 10 people. Diba? It's so expensive. If we compare it to the airfares pre-pandemic, that's just, I would say, mga $600 per head or 500. So ang laki-laki. Ilang percent yung in-increase nung cost na yon. And remember, airfares, the travel cost is part of the crew cost. Pag lumobo yan, ang iisipin ng mga ship owners or ship managers, bakit tayo kukuha ng Pilipino napaka-expensive nila? So we are really lobbying this because we are protecting our industry. Kasi natatakot na kami dun sa employability ng Filipino seafarers because we're getting too expensive. Yung ano kasi, of course, with respect naman to to our government, we fully understand that they are trying to protect our borders by limiting. But kasi parang personally speaking, to me kasi, whether it's 100 or 5,000, it wouldn't really matter kung if we're talking about passenger capacity. Kasi lahat naman yan ika-quarantine mo. 'Di ba? Lahat yan iti-test mo bago mo palabasin. And you make sure na negative sila. Pag merong nag-positive, meron din tayong process. Titingnan din yan. When they're tested positive, then yung second sample nila will be brought to the genome sequencing. So malalaman natin kung anong variant yan, 'di ba? So kumbaga parang meron na tayong processes, meron na tayong mga protocols to contain. If ever merong mga mag-positive sa atin, they are contained because they are still in quarantine. Pag hindi naman stringent yung quarantine facility nila, the Bureau of Quarantine will extract them and then bring them to stringent facilities or isolation facilities. So yun yung namin, yun yung talagang inilalaban namin na sana i-increase na yung passenger capacity natin because it will mean lower crew cost. And then, masisigurado pa natin na mapapauwi natin ang mga Filipinos natin. Because, parang hindi tama na hindi sila mapauwi when they are over their contract. They deserve to come home and rest and be with their families. Hindi pwedeng, 'di ba, parang papauwiin natin, pabababain natin kunyari sa Dubai. Unfortunately, Dubai is a hub and is a restricted country. Kung hindi tayo makapag-arrange ng chartered flights, paano sila uuwi? I remember the very first charter na in-arrange namin, meron sa kanila na nandun sa country na yon for more than 2 months already. 'Di ba? Matapos mong magpakahirap na tapos mo naman yung kontrata mo and yet you stay in a country doing nothing for 2 months. 'Di ba? Parang gustong-gusto mo nang umuwi, magpahinga ka kasama mo yung pamilya mo, but you cannot go home. So yun yung namin yun yung nilalaban talaga namin ngayon.
So, marami pa tayong mga Filipino seafarers na stranded.
Hindi na siya ganun karami. Kasi we've been chartering flights with the help of our friends from different travel agencies, no. They've been really helpful talaga to bring home our stranded seafarers. So yung mga natin, yung mga nasa UAE natin, hindi na katulad dati na talagang pag pag nag-mount kami ng isang charter, talagang mauubos na agad yung seats eh. In a matter of days. Pero ngayon, kasi nga, medyo na na natin, napauwi na rin naman natin yung mga stranded natin. Tapos sunod-sunod kasi yung mga ina-arrange na charters. Meron DFA initiated, meron na tayong airline initiated, tapos meron pang LMA initiated. So, napapauwi na rin naman natin talaga sila. Konti na lang. Meron yung kunyari, sa isang country like Bangladesh, hindi naman siya ganun ka popular as a crew change hub, 'di ba? So, yan, medyo hirap tayong pauwiin yung mga yan kasi we have to gather as a good number of seafarers to bring home para naman medyo sulit naman yung ibabayad sa eroplano.
With the looming threat of the more contagious Delta coronavirus variant, is the heightened call from the maritime industry to vaccinate our seafarers. When we return, we will talk about the vaccination program of our government for our Filipino seafarers.
What if I tell you that KSIM Connect has become a reality? It is the cloud-based ecosystem for maritime education and training, where Kongsberg provides simulation and services to all members. As an instructor, my main goal is to educate and train seafarers to acquire skills promoting safety, sustainability, and efficiency at sea. At KSIM Connect, I can efficiently manage my simulators, my exercises, and my students. In the exercise archive, I can store my library of exercises, and if I want, collaborate and share them with my colleagues or others in the global community. KSIM Connect enables me to give students access to cloud simulation, so they can train anytime and anywhere while learning at their own pace. In addition, I can explore the library of models and exercise areas, download or subscribe those that fit the learning objectives. And I can even order spare parts or a service visit if needed. Kongsberg has started to create the future of maritime education and training by creating the community where instructors can find news, explore and download available simulator models, distribute or share exercises that fit the curriculum. Imagine using KSIM Connect to integrate our simulators in the same virtual exercise environment, enabling students to train and interact together. It doesn't matter whether you're in Singapore, Australia, or in the United States. As long as you're online, you are part of the knowledge-sharing community. Kongsberg is shaping the future of maritime education and training by creating the community. Let's continue building this community together for the benefit of ourselves and the entire maritime training industry. Join KSIM Connect today.
We're back on the program. You're watching Maritime Viewpoints on Marino World Online. We are still with the president of ALMA Maritime Group, Ms. CRISTINA Garcia. Ms. Tina, so how's the rollout of our vaccination for our seafarers? Kasi alam ko, updated ka dyan. Napaka-active mo sa technical working group ng vaccination program ng ating seafarers.
Actually, we're really privileged to be part of the TWG. The vaccination program for seafarers is spearheaded by Marina. At si Admin Bob yung nangungulit kila Secretary Galvez, kaya Senator Bongo na bigyan ng bakuna yung mga seafarers natin. So we are in the TWG, we are actually yung nagle-legwork talaga 10 kami. So can you just imagine 10 people handling thousands of seafarers to vaccinate across the country. So it's really tasking. Ngayon, at this point, nasa first official rollout na kami. Nung first time kasi, parang ceremonial lang yung nag-vaccinate din yung Marina nung Seafarers Day. So the Marina regional offices from regions 1 to 13 were heavily involved. Kasi ang mandate sa amin talagang bakunahan yung mga pwede nating bakunahan, whether international seafarers or domestic seafarers, because the government feels they know that all seafarers need to be protected because they're the ones transporting our goods, diba? So talagang kailangan yan, protected sila because they're so exposed to the virus. So nung it was June 25, which is the Seafarers Day, when we started rolling out. I think nakapagbakuna kami ng around 3,000 at that time. When we rolled out during the Seafarers Day, ang sabi ni Admin Bob noon, nag-message siya, sabi niya, oh, meron tayong 500 na Pfizer. Pwede na natin ilagay sa Amusup Manila. So okay na 'yan. Naging 550. Ay ko okay na yan. Kayang-kaya yung 550 'di ba? Ang daling nun. Tapos pagdating sa Las Piñas, sabi niya, nung una parang 200 lang ang allocation namin. I was in Marina that morning kasi nung night before, sinabi niya nga na parang 200 nga lang yung allocation namin or 500. I'm so sorry, I cannot really remember the number for Las Piñas. Tapos kinabukasan, around 8 o'clock, biglang naging 1,200. Kailangan mong ubusin yung bakuna kasi masasayang, di ba? So talagang kahit na meron kaming program sa Marina nung day na yon, talagang kami, phone brigade kami, may mga teams kami. So that's how we delegate kasi among the TWG. Mag-identify kami ng locations. And then we assign people from the TWG kung sino yung magiging in charge dun sa locations na yon. So nung I'm sorry to just go back, no. We've identified fixed vaccination sites for the seafarers. So nakipag-partner tayo kay Amusup for us to use Amusup Manila, Amusup Davao, Iloilo, and Cebu. So yun yung mga fixed natin. And then the other venues, kung available lang. So we are fortunate that one of our team members, si Captain Tony Ladera from V-Ships, medyo malapit sa puso ni Senator Villar. Kaya nahihiram niya yung datet, which is really very ideal kasi ang laki ng capacity nila eh. They can vaccinate around 2,000 per day. So, okay yan. And then, si Attorney Noli din, at saka si Dr. Oka from Amosup, nakakausap din ng mga LGU, so nakakahingi rin sila. So talagang collective effort siya talaga. So, for this rollout naman, Pfizer yung nauna, ito naman ngayon, Moderna. Sabi ni Admin Bob a few weeks ago, meron tayong 30,000 doses of Moderna. Nako, talagang that evening, wala kaming hinto na saan dadaling ng bakuna. Kasi that's that is my task. Inako kong task yun na gagawa kami ng program, paano namin hahatiin, saan namin dadalhin, ilan ang bibigay namin. Yung mga ganun ba. So, we have to agree and present it to Admin Bob. And then when he says, okay yan, go yan, then we implement. So that's how TWG works. For this rollout, we have vaccinated, actually wala pa kaming last count, dahil yung 30,000 namin, it was down to 25,000 kasi naligaw yung 5,000. Parang napamigay sa ibang LGU yung 5,000 doses namin. So we were working for 25,000 doses na binigay natin sa Amosup, Manila, Davao, Iloilo, Cebu. And then we've had additional sites this time kasi nung Seafarers Day, wala kasing Marina Regional Office sa Region 3. So I suggested, bigyan natin sila ngayon kasi hindi sila nabigyan ng Seafarers Day. So dinagdag natin ang Zambales and Bataan. Kasi may mga dyan may mga ports dyan. We've also added Legazpi. And Makati rin tayo. At saka meron din tayong isa pang schedule supposed to be sa NAIA Terminal 4 sana, pero hindi pa natin na-fix yung schedule. And we've allocated that to BOQ. So meron pa tayong natitirang 1,500 doses for BOQ. So yan, mga next week pa yan.
But would you know na yung 5,000 doses na yon na naibigay sa LGU, sa seafarer pa rin naman na i-vaccinate?
That I don't know.
Kaya pala nung tinignan ko yung schedules and then yung particular number dun sa mga sites, sabi ko parang bilang ko 25,000 lang. Nasaan yung 5,000? And
Wow,
kapag sinabi naman natin yung 30,000 doses na yan, hindi naman dyan limited lang yung for the seafarers because there are vaccines allocated dun sa mga LGUs wherein nagpupunta rin dun yung mga seafarers natin. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. At kasi nga 'di ba na categorize na ang seafarers natin who are leaving, who are to be deployed within 4 months as A1.8. So yung mga LGUs, yung iba if they have the supply, they vaccinate naman without without question. Ang nagiging problema lang natin is yung ibang LGUs up to this time, they don't know na ang seafarers who are to be deployed within 4 months are already categorized as A1. Parang ang alam nila A4 pa rin. So isa yan din sa mga dapat sigurong trabahuhin ng gobyerno natin that the LGUs should be familiar or should know kung ano yung mga category na kasi nagbago na yun, ang tagal-tagal na, ilang months ago na yun. So yun yung ano natin, isa rin sa challenges. Nagrereklamo nga yung mga ibang seafarers na kasi ini-encourage namin sila to go to the LGUs and try. Dahil pag hinintay pa nila yung ano namin, yung rollout namin, paano kung paalis na sila, 'di ba? So baka hindi na nila mahintay. So we really encourage them to go to the LGUs. Pero yung iba sasabihin nga na ay hindi pa daw pwede kasi A4 kami. Ay wala daw silang bakuna. So yung mga ano yan, challenges natin yan.
So kailan ang dating ng susunod na doses for the seafarers?
Admin Bob, again, thanks to you. He's really working very hard. Hindi pa natatapos ang rollout namin or hindi pa nga nag-uumpisa yung rollout namin for Moderna. Humihingi na siya ng kasunod. And he's been programming it for August, September, October, November, December. So parang gusto niya for the rest of the year, nakaplansya na yan. So inaano niya, meron lang kaming utang sa kanya kasi meron siyang hinihinging requirement para yun naman yung isa-submit niya kila Secretary Galvez. Kailangan namin master listing.
Okay. And yung master listing niyo, it's not kumbaga covered lang yung sa ALMA Maritime Group member.
Oh, no. No.
There's a portal nga pala, no? Website.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Oo. You know, because it's the TWG members are ALMA members doesn't mean that we only think about or care about the ALMA members. And just for the people to know, etong mga TWG members, they are also members of other association. Kumbaga, ano sila, yung iba nga tatlo eh. May dalawang affiliation, yung iba tatlo. Ako lang yun talagang pure na ALMA. Walang ibang walang ibang membership sa ibang association. Yes. Nung una talaga, parang merong hindi magandang pagkakaunawaan dyan kasi bakit daw ALMA lang, ganyan-ganyan. So, Admin Bob called up a meeting among the manning agencies explaining na that's not the case. It's really for the industry. It's not for just one specific group, no? So, pagkatapos naman nun, he even encouraged the manning agencies to become members of the TWG because honestly speaking, we really need help. Kulang na kulang ang 10 tao to roll out. 10 na i-assign mo to be responsible for one specific rollout schedule. Of course, sila Admin Bob naman at saka si Captain Jeff Solon, they are there to make sure that we have the vaccines, that everything is in order. Yung mga ganon. So, kami yung legwork. And again, we really need help. Kasi meron din kaming day job eh, 'di ba? Meron din naman kaming trabaho, meron kaming mga companies na kailangan namin patakbuhin. And I for one, hindi lang din ito yung ginagawa ko. I also help out the OSS, yung one-stop shop natin on another matter. Kami naman yung I help them out dun sa mga repat flights, yung monitoring ng mga RT-PCR test pag may mga nade-delay. So, this is really a task. Hindi ko masabing job eh. Kasi hindi man siya job, no? So, medyo tasking siya talaga.
AMOSUB is calling for the support of the government na yung J&J vaccines i-allot din for our seafarers because there are around 3 million doses of J&J vaccines na donate na ng US. So do you support that call?
Actually, those J&Js that were donated by the US government are intended for A2 and A3. Kaya hindi natin pwedeng pakialaman. So, gusto talaga namin ng J&J from the very start. And ever since na conceptualize itong itong TWG specifically for crafting the implementing rules and regulations lang sana yon, and then tuloy-tuloy na kami. From the very start, our preferred vaccine is J&J simply because it's one dose. Hindi na nga, medyo secondary na nga yung yung efficacy ng vaccine. To us, ang importante kasi is that mabakunahan yung mga seafarers natin na without consideration na, di ba pag 2 doses, iisipin mo pa, pag AstraZeneca to after 90 days or 120 days, pag Moderna to kailangan after 28 days, di ba? And alam naman natin, ang seafarer available ngayon, pero bukas pwede mo na siyang paalisin pag meron tayong mga emergency. So, yan ang downside kung 2 doses yung ibibigay natin sa seafarers natin. Our experience when we rolled out the Pfizer vaccine is that meron tayong mga no-shows on the second dose by mga 20%. Some of them have been deployed already. Some went back to the provinces. Some are in quarantine. So, di ba parang ayun na naman. Ako kasi sinasabi ko na sayang yung bakuna eh. Kasi, di ba parang imbis na fully vaccinated na yung seafarer, because of those factors na pwede mo nga siya ma-deploy anytime, pwede siyang umuwi uli ng probinsya niya or ika-quarantine mo na kasi paalis na yung tao. Sayang na hindi niya na-avail yung second dose. So, kung 1 dose lang yan, which is J&J, wala tayong problema. Pagkabakuna, na tayo, may peace of mind na tayo na fully vaccinated na yung mga seafarers natin. And yan talaga yung yan ang dapat i-consider ng gobyerno natin, which nabigay naman sa atin yung commitment before, pero sana magkatotoo na mabibigay sa atin. I believe the Johnson & Johnson vaccine purchased by the government will come in mga September yata eh. Kasi nga, as I said, yung mga ngayon, yung mga J&J ngayon, donation yan. So kung kanino gustong ibigay yan, wala kaming say dyan. Not unless yung LGU, like nakahingi si Admin Bob ng 1,500 J&J na in-administer sa Las Piñas a few days ago. So yung mga ganun lang, 'di ba? Parang ad hoc lang 'yon. Hindi yung specifically na talagang eto para sa mga Marino talaga tong J&J na to. So we hope that they will come na wala nang ibang ibibigay na bakuna para sa mga seafarers kundi yung J&J na lang.
And for the information of our seafarers, Ms. Tina, what are the general rules sa vaccination natin sa mga seafarers? Like yung sa registration, may walk-ins ba? Ina-accommodate ba yan?
Yeah, thank you, Lynn, for asking that. general rule is that kailangan yung mga seafarers na babakunahan should be prioritized kasi kulang tayo ng bakuna. So ang mga pina-prioritize natin ngayon are those leaving within 30 days or mga 45 days para sakto yung yung schedule ng second dose nila. So yun yung pina-prioritize natin. Again, it's because limited yung allocation natin for the vaccine. So Marina came up with a digital platform na the seafarers and the manning agencies have to understand na bagong bagong platform siya. So kailangan nating i-test. So hindi pa siya talaga ganun fully utilized, but after after this rollout, yung TWG will be reviewing the processes, ano pa yung mga pwede nating i-improve, and we think na talagang ang dapat na maging focus namin is yung master listing. Kasi diyan kami nagkaroon ng problema. I cannot blame the manning agencies because they were given limited time to submit the names. Kasi nga nagmamadali kami. Nung nalaman namin na meron na tayong 30,000 doses na allocation, talagang over the weekend lang yon. I think we learned about it Thursday night yata. And then syempre nagplano pa kami saan ang mga locations and all and ganyan. And then naglabas ng memo ang Marina ng Monday morning, ang deadline nila in the afternoon. So very tight. Again, hindi ko talaga sila masisi na parang kinopy-paste lang nila yung database nila without even checking kung talagang available yung tao. Ang naging implication nun is that we've had a lot of people on the list na hindi naman pala available to be vaccinated. And we already have the Marina COVID portal. So kailangan yun yung ma-utilize natin. Kasi doon sa portal ngayon, the seafarers need to register. And then pagkatapos nila mag-register, pipiliin nila yung manning agency nila, and the manning agency will validate kung talagang due for vaccination yung tao nila, because they're the only people who knows, 'di ba, kung talagang due for vaccination yon. So we'd like to maximize the use of the system para mabawasan na natin yung mga no-shows. Kasi like for me, in my experience doon sa Bataan, very low ang turnout doon. We have listed almost 400 names, but wala pang 50 na seafarers ang dumating among those in the master list. Mas marami pa yung walk-in. That's why we want to avoid that. And we will really try very hard to improve that system. Pagka pag na-implement na namin yon, hindi na namin hihingan yung mga manning agencies to submit the names of the seafarers, because we can generate the names from the Marina COVID portal. So yun yung namin ngayon, magiging program.
So yun yung para sa Marina portal or for Filipino seafarers vaccination. Particularly para dun sa mga doses na yon. But iba pa rin yung sa mga LGUs. Do they have different protocols or guidelines na pinapatupad din pagdating sa vaccination?
Yes. The seafarers need to remember that they should register sa LGU nila if that is a requirement. kahit na Marina initiative yung yung vaccination program na yon, kailangan pa rin nilang mag-register sa LGU if required na mag-register by the LGU. So, meron naman din LGUs na hindi nagre-require, nagma-manual registration kami. Pero for us to capture yung data, kung ilan na ang nababakunahan, ganyan, that is the purpose of the Marina portal. And I believe we are also instructed or directed to register dun sa DICT kasi sila naman talaga yung nagma-manage ng data ng lahat ng mga nabakunahan. So that's going to be 3 databases two that's really mandated by the government to be used. It's the DICT and the LGU. Para ma-capture lahat. And then additional lang ang Marina portal. Kasi yung Marina portal is specific naman to the seafarers vaccinated here and abroad. Kasi yung mga yung sa LGU and sa DICT pang dito lang, kung sino lang yung mga nabakunahan dito. Whereas yun ang kagandahan ng Marina portal kasi kahit na yung mga crew natin na nabakunahan sa States or sa Europe, yung ganyan, pwede nating makapture. And then, we will have statistics kung ilan na yung nabakunahan. And then, that will also be our basis kung ilan pa yung kailangan natin.
So, what are the responsibilities of the manning agencies naman?
Oh, well, talagang we should really keep track of all our crew. Kung sino na talaga yung mga nabakunahan. Kasi it will help the government, especially for Marina, as I mentioned earlier, to really allocate. Kasi ngayon, pagsasabihin natin, we need 50,000 vaccines. Oh, we need 30,000 vaccines. But do we have the numbers to back it up? Wala, 'di ba? Hindi natin alam ngayon, up to now, kung ilan na ang mga Filipino seafarers na nabakunahan here and abroad. There's no such statistics at this point. That's why we are really pushing the manning agencies to keep track, to encourage their seafarers to use the Marina portal for us to monitor. Or else, in the blind tayo. Hindi natin alam kung ilan na talaga na bakunahan at ilan pa ang hihingin nating bakuna.
So, napakaraming challenges, no? And even dun sa mga natitirang bakuna, na sabi mo nga, nasasayang ba? Or ginagawa ba ng paraan para wag masayang yun? Maibigay naman sa iba? Yung mga no-show during the schedule dapat nila? Anong ginagawa doon?
Meron namang mga naka-waitlist, no? I would say talaga, ang tiyatsaga ng mga seafarers natin. And talagang gustong-gusto nilang mabakunahan. So, nagtitake sila ng chance talaga to go to vaccination sites. Pero, we have to respect the process kasi irespeto po natin yung mga manning agencies na nagpakahirap na ilista yung mga pangalan ng seafarers nila para sila naman na mabigyan ng priority. Kahit nga, unfortunately, kahit na hindi tama yung mga hindi naman talaga na validate yung mga names na yon. But still, we recognize na nagkaroon sila ng effort naman talaga to submit the names to Marina as per deadline. Yung iba may mga na-delay din naman, but again, that's understandable dahil nga very tight yung deadline. So, kung masasayang na bakuna ang tatanungin mo, walang masasayang kasi ang daming may gusto. Like sa Las Piñas, we've had a very bad experience dyan this week kasi meron nag-circulate sa social media na may walk-in, which we really discourage. Ang sinabi namin dun sa discussions namin, we will consider walk-in. Pag naubos na namin yung mga yung mga listed, kasi nga ako talaga sinasabi ko sa TWG, imagine, ang dami-daming pangalan dun sa sinabit na mga manning agencies. And imposibleng hindi namin ma-exhaust lahat ng pangalan na yon. So, again, going back to that bad experience, it was up to the extent na akala namin magkakaroon ng stampede kasi hindi mabigyan ng yung iba talaga nagagalit na kasi hindi sila mabigyan ng papel para nakapila na sila. And that's what we really want to avoid. Unang-una, yun na nga yung kailangan irespeto natin yung proseso, because kung hindi natin ipapatupad yung procedure na inisip namin, na alam namin na makakaganda sa natin, sa program natin. So ayaw namin mangyari na yung vaccination program ng Marina will be cause kung bakit tayo magkakaroon ng COVID infection. Kasi pag hindi natin makontrol yan, yung crowd, then most likely magkakaroon talaga ng COVID spread dyan, di ba? And we want to manage that. Ayaw naman natin na na pipila yung libo-libong seafarers natin, tapos hindi rin naman sila mababakunahan. So, we appeal to the manning agencies talaga na pag nagbigay sila ng pangalan, sana advise nila yung mga seafarers nila to go to the vaccination site on schedule. Kasi calculated namin yan. Talaga yan, napag-aralan siya. And hindi siya madaling iplano. So, we need their cooperation. Pag meron tayong mga natirang bakuna, again, yung katulad nung nangyari sa Bataan, no? Dahil ang konti nga ng seafarers na dumating. Unfortunately, the Moderna vaccine is so sensitive na pag mo na yan, pag nailabas mo na siya, kailangan mo na siyang gamitin. Pag nabuksan mo yung vial, you need to consume it within 6 hours. Pag na-defrost mo yung mga unused vaccines, you have 30 days para mo siya, para ma-consume mo siya. Hindi mo na siya pwede ibalik sa freezer. So may mga peculiarities sa mga vaccines talaga. So kailangan tama talaga yung planning when it comes to allocation, distribution, and administration. So yung nangyari sa sa Bataan, dahil konti yung dumating, nagtawag ako ng mga members ng one-stop shop sa Kapinpin Port, because they are also part of the maritime industry, di ba? Ancillary services yan eh. So, tinawagan ko yung port manager doon. So, nagpapunta siya ng tao. MAAP was supposed to send their, yung mga cadets nila for onboarding na. Unfortunately, hindi sila nakapunta. So, Attorney Nolly worked out on replacing those names kasi sabi ko sa kanya, sayang yung bakuna dahil nakalabas na eh. And parang nakakalungkot na 50 lang yung mababakunahan mo with all the efforts, 'di ba? So, yun. And then, we monitor. Pag ano yan, towards the end or pag malapit na matapos yung vaccination, magka-count na kami, gagawa kami ng inventory, ilan pa ang ilan ang bukas, ilan pa ang babakunahan na nakapila. So yung mga wastage natin, we make sure naman na mabigay din sila dun sa mga OFWs natin para rin makatulong tayo. And yung iba dyan, mga seafarers na wala pang schedule for deployment, although alam naman natin na hindi pa nga sila talaga due for vaccination, pero kasi wastage na yun, di ba? E di ibigay mo na lang din sa kanila.
And during this return of ECQ, the government said no halt in COVID-19 vaccination centers. So tuloy-tuloy pa rin, lalo na sa ating mga seafarers, Miss Tina. Paano ngayon yan?
Yes. Because of this vaccination drives, question namin kay Admin Bob yan talagang meron pa kami mga schedules kasi in the provinces. So, clear out yan ni Admin Bob sa DILG, and he was assured na kasi appor naman ng mga seafarers natin, 'di ba? So, tuloy-tuloy lang, and naisama naman yan sa IATF resolution that any appors going for vaccination will not be hampered.
So do you have schedules already for this week and the succeeding weeks?
Yes, but those are for the provinces. For NCR, we still have one schedule again that is for the allocation for BOQ, but we still don't have a fixed date and venue. So meron pa tayong 1,500 doses.
So Ms. Tina, do you have anything more to emphasize?
Yes, I do. Etong etong vaccination programs natin, we really hope that this would help the employability of our seafarers. However, let me stress na hindi ito dapat maging condition para ma-employ ang mga seafarers natin. Because I've been hearing a lot of them saying na, ma'am, pag hindi po kami nabakunahan, hindi kami malaline up. Diba? Parang it's so sad that the vaccine is becoming a condition for employment. In the first place, having vaccinated is still optional. This is not mandatory. So how can it be that it will become a condition for employment? So please, hindi po ito ang tamang panahon para mag-impose tayo na kailangan bakunado ng mga seaman natin bago natin mapalayag. Dahil hindi pa ganon kadami ang supply ng vaccines natin. And hindi pa siya available sa market. I think the principals or the manning agencies can only impose that if they will be paying for the vaccine. Diba? As long as it's given free by the government, hindi po tayo pwede nun. Hindi tayo pwede talagang mag-impose ng ganon. Dahil again, we still have limited supply, and kahit na po gustuhin natin na mabakunahan lahat, hindi pa po natin kayang bakunahan lahat. So, kawawa naman po yung mga marino natin na hindi natin mapapadala sa barko just because hindi sila bakunado.
Thank you very much, Miss Cristina.
Thank you to Lynn. It's always a pleasure for me to be invited. And I hope we will be seeing each other pretty soon. At I'm actually enjoying. It's actually my pleasure to help the industry. I have just spoken with Captain Del Prado earlier this afternoon, and I told him we are very fortunate in ALMA because our trustees, the board, and the members are really very proactive. Pag meron kaming mga initiatives na ganyan, especially dito sa vaccination talagang wholeheartedly sila na nag-volunteer. And we are spending a lot of time. Again, not for ALMA alone, but for the whole industry. So I hope this will be recognized na this is a government initiative through Marina and not by any manning organization.
And indeed, you are a compassionate leader, Miss Cristina. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, and good luck to ALMA Maritime Group. God bless Maritime Philippines. Thank you, Miss Cristina Garcia, the President of the Association of Licensed Manning Agencies, or ALMA Maritime Group. Thank you very much for watching Maritime Viewpoints on Marino World Online. This is Lynn Bacani.